This week's gospel is sort of our last normal, if you will, gospel before we get into the heart of Holy Week and the final build up to Easter. Because next Sunday is Palm Sunday, Passion Sunday. All right, next Sunday we start with the gospel reading at the Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, and then the long Passion narrative. Right, I'm sure we remember that from years past. So this is sort of our last normal, if you will, gospel. Um, and it's this passage where Jesus in his ministry is preparing his disciples more and more for the fact that they're going to Jerusalem and he's going to die. And he knows this is what's coming. And he knows it's a difficult thing. But he has this interesting thing to say to them. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. So he's using this farming analogy, if you will, right? A seed just remains a seed. For those of you gardening at home, if you start from seeds, this is the time of year where we start those seeds inside so we can transplant them outside. A seed is just a seed. It's just a little thing, unless you plant it in the ground. And then in some sense it dies, right? Because it breaks open. There's a shell casing that's left behind, but something new comes out of it. And this is Jesus' point. This death you could see as a bad thing, or you could see it as a good thing. Because what comes out of it is a plant, a thing that is biologically the same thing as what was in that seed. But what comes from that plant is so much more than what you could get from that seed. So in some sense it's the same thing, right? It's the seed that has become the plant. But the plant is so much more than just the seed. First of all, it's bigger, right? It's a living thing. The seed isn't quite alive yet. It's got the potential for life, but it's not there yet. And the plant can produce food. You could eat the seed and that's the end of it. It's got very minimal nutritional value, but the plant can produce a whole bunch of fruit, of vegetables that you can eat and you can give away and you can make things out of. The plant with the fruit is better than the seed, and that's Jesus' point. That's why he says, I'm troubled, right? He's bothered by the fact that he's going to go suffer and die, right? On a human level, he doesn't want to do that. As God, he absolutely wants to redeem us, but as a human being like you and I, he doesn't want to go through the pain and the suffering. But he says, I'm troubled, but what should I say? Father, save me from this hour? This is the whole reason I came. Right? And that's his point. The plant and the fruit, the result of death that God is going to bring out of death is so much better than that death and that difficulty. And so the challenge for us is, do we trust Jesus to bring better out of the difficulties that we go through and better out of death even? What are the bad things that are happening in our lives right now? What are the little deaths, if you will? Maybe you're dealing with actual physical, biological death in the family. What are the things that we're struggling with right now? And can we start to see the beginning of that seed opening up? Can we start to see God bringing something good, something better out of that difficult situation? Because if we don't go through that difficulty, we just have the seed. We just have the thing that we're used to. We don't have the better that God has in mind for us. Where do we see that better breaking through right now?